All right, and I think we are live, so thank you everyone for joining us for this Webmaster Office Hours today. We have some specific topics for this office hours. We'll actually be talking about the same topics that we presented last week at Google I/O, but obviously a lot of people were not able to attend I/O in person, so we thought we would just kind of bring it to all of you. So we'll be talking about three main topics, and the overall theme of this is best practices and common mistakes in SEO. So first we'll be talking about best practices for mobile sites regarding SEO. Then we'll be talking about multilingual and multi-regional international sites. And then we will also talk about monitoring your site for spam and abuse. So maybe we can start with some quick introductions, and then we will just get into it. So Mary, did you want to start?
Yeah. Hey everyone, my name is Mary, and I'll be going over the mobile section with you guys.
Hey guys, I'm Eric. I'll be doing multi-regional and multilingual sites.
And I'm Michael, or also known as Wiz, and I'll be talking about monitoring your site for spam. So first up, I think we have Mary, who will be talking about mobile sites. So I'll go ahead and bring up the presentation and hand it off to Mary.
Cool. Thanks, Michael. All right, so I'll be speaking about mobile configurations, and these are mistakes that we see commonly, and I'll be going over best practices and the mistakes. Now, we want our search users to experience the full richness of the web, but sites that have common mistakes we mentioned here provide people a really bad user experience. A few of these mistakes will drive users to hit the back button, and other mistakes can just frustrate your users since they're unable to find the exact page they're looking for or the information. So pay attention to resolving these common mistakes, and keep in mind that their information we take into account for ranking purposes in order to provide our users the best and most relevant search result. So the three that I'm going to cover are unplayable content, blocked content, and misdirected content. And as I said, a bad user experience can hurt your site's ranking on search results. So the first one is unplayable content. Now, I don't know about you, but this has happened to me so many times. I click on a search result page, I want to see a video, but the plugin is not supported. This is really frustrating, and I usually just click on the back button to find a different video on a different site. To make sure that your site has no unplayable video, you can just easily test videos on your phone for incompatible software such as Flash. And a general best practice here is add your summaries or transcripts of what the video is about below the actual video. So if your user cannot watch the video for some reason, or if they just don't have time to, they can at least read a summary of it. Now the second misconfiguration I'm going to talk about is blocked content. Now, if you are blocking your images or important CSS or JavaScript files from us, then we can't render your site and we can't recognize the mobile version of it. It's really important for us to be able to see these things, so a good thing to do is check your robots.txt files or any related files to see if they're blocking Googlebot from crawling your JavaScript, CSS, or even images in this case. And as I mentioned earlier, if you're blocking resources from making it possible for us to recognize the mobile version, then we can't take that information into account when we're showing your site in search results. Now here's something you should keep in mind. Make sure you're treating Googlebot as a regular user. What I mean by that is when Googlebot is crawling your site and it's coming to your site and it's saying that it's an iPhone, for example, treat it as an iPhone. Don't treat it specifically as Googlebot. This is very important because in our Webmaster Guidelines, we want to make sure that you're not showing Googlebot one version of your site, but you're showing users a different site. This is considered cloaking, and this goes against our guidelines. Just a sec, we're going to make sure the presentation is going to be shown on your screen.
Yeah, I believe if you're watching live on YouTube, we are showing it. I think maybe if you're participating, Matt, you might just be seeing us, but if you go ahead and pin Eric, that's the presentation.
Cool, okay, so just to recap, don't be super specific about the user agent you're targeting, and don't treat Googlebot as a specific user agent, just treat it as a regular user. Okay, so this is a hefty one. I'll be going over a few different types of misdirected content. Now, in this first case here, I'm looking at a search result that's taking me to nationalworldwide.com/news, but I'm actually taken to the 404 not found page when I go on my mobile device. And this is a really bad user experience because I'm not sure if the site exists and it exists in a different URL, or if the site doesn't even exist on mobile. So this is a very frustrating user experience. We don't want to provide our users this type of content. So what you can do in this case is, if you do have the mobile version available on a different URL, redirect your users to that different URL if it's available. And for some reason, if you don't have a smartphone-friendly version available, then serve the desktop version of that site. So just take your users to nationalworldwide.com/news instead of the mobile version, which is a 404. And this is what we say: this is better to show your users something than to show them nothing at all. All right, the second type of misdirected content are faulty redirects. We see this a lot on sites, and this is commonly occurring when smartphones are redirecting people based on user agents. So in this case, I have 3 different desktop URLs, which are the homepage, the shop subdirectory, and the About Us subdirectory. And when I click on any of these on my mobile device, I'm taken back to the desktop homepage of the mobile version. So all 3 examples here are taking me to m.nationalworldwide.com. And this is a frustrating user experience too, because I have to look for the shop subdirectory myself, or if I can't find it, I'll probably just leave the page. This is one type of faulty redirects. We also see cases where, let's say I'm looking for a specific product, but I'm taken to the generic shop page. Or also I'm redirecting some users, let's say Android users, but not iPhone users. And as I mentioned, faulty redirects result in a really frustrating user experience. And it's so important that we now flag these in our search results page. So in this example, Google thinks that if you click on nationalworldwide.com/conferences, you're going to be taken back to the mobile version of the home page. And we want to tell users this as a warning, and also to make sure that this is a result that they want to click on. So make sure you don't have any of these because they can hurt your rankings and search results, and we want to spare our users from landing on irrelevant pages. And a simple test you can do here is you can click on your search results using your phone or an emulator and test if they take you to the right URLs. So you can perform a site search on Google. And they're so important that we also show them in Webmaster Tools. So if you have your Webmaster Tools account verified, you can go into URL errors and then look for faulty redirects. If you see any examples in Webmaster Tools, you can go into your server configuration and debug where the issues are. Cool, so now I'll be talking about some best practices. If you're listening to this presentation and you don't have a mobile site set up yet, then Google recommends responsive designs for a number of reasons. A lot of the errors that I talked about earlier and the mistakes can be avoided if you use responsive design, because you're just basically using one URL and you're using the same HTML with different CSS. But if you do have a mobile site already and you're using a separate mobile URL for the site, then we recommend adding bidirectional annotations. And what this means is on the desktop version of your site, which is on the top here, www.nationalworldwide.com, you want to add a rel alternate tag. In this case, we're saying that there's an alternate version of your site. Here it's m.nationalworldwide.com, and it depends on the screen size here, which it's 640 in this case. And the second part of this is you want to make sure that on your m.nationalworldwide.com HTML, you want to have a rel canonical that points back to the home page. This tells Google that, okay, these two URLs are one entity, and this is really important for us. If we don't understand that your desktop version of your site and the mobile version of your site are one entity, then if people are searching on search results, we might be showing two different results for that. And in this case, it might be hurting your search result rankings because we're showing them twice, and your ranking might be lower than they normally would be. All right. And if you also have automatic redirect set up, then you want to add a very HTTP header. In this case, it has an arrow pointing to it, and it says that the response we get varies based on the user agent that's coming to the site. And this helps tell Google that there's a mobile version of your site, and it helps us understand that this is a single entity. Cool. And if you have all of these set up correctly, what we do on our search results is a really cool thing, and it's called a skipped redirect. In this case, we have nationalworldwide.com, and if I click on it, Google actually just puts in the mobile version of the site, which is m.nationalworldwide.com, and we just directly give users this URL. And the skip redirect removes an extra redirect latency by 0.5 second to 1 second, so it makes it a lot faster for your mobile users. And the last general best practice is on your mobile version of your site, you should add a link on the bottom that says, take me to the desktop optimized version. And you can also do this on your desktop version and say something like, take me to the mobile optimized version. And what this does is it helps override any misconfigured redirects. So if something's wrong on your site, your users can actually just go to the version that they prefer. And if you have this set up, make sure you're keeping your users on their preferred version for the entirety of the session. So let's say they click on this link so that they can see the desktop optimized version, but they want to go to a different page, for example, and they get switched back to the mobile version. It provides a really bad user experience. So make sure you're keeping your users on the preferred version. Cool, thank you. And now I'm going to pass it over to Eric.
Thanks, Mary.
Hey guys, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about multi-regional, multilingual sites and search results. So imagine this is your business or you have an app. You can either be like a small, medium business, or even a large business, but you'll know that a lot of people want your apps, they want your content, they want your services. So you have this whole wide world to cater to. So how do you reach these people in these different markets? One way might be to create a website, multiple websites actually. So in this case, we have Dublin, Taiwan, Costa Rica, and I know it's a very eclectic variation of websites, but how do your users find these websites? Possibly through a search engine, and my personal favorite search engine is obviously Google. So when people are searching for your site, for example, let's say this is a US user on google.com and they're searching for your business, and there's something weird about this search result actually, because they're seeing a result for the UK version of the website. And this isn't a very good user experience for the user because they might be confused. They might not even know that you have a US version of your website and have services in the US or even sell things in dollar amounts. So they might not even click through this site in search results. On the flip side, if you have a user from Taiwan and they're looking for your content, they see the search result in search results. Now, this isn't necessarily a bad search result because this is the global version of the site. So anybody can go to it and kind of find information about your site, and that's okay. But the thing is, there's actually a better, more region-specific website for the user. So this user from Taiwan, they could actually be getting a search result that shows a description and also has like a phone number that you can contact in Taiwan. So this is a much better search result for a user. And it's better for them because they can be more connected to your business if they're looking for your business, your service, your apps. So the good news is that Google actually wants our users to find the right content, right? So Google has a couple of solutions for telling us that you have multi-regional or multilingual sites and pages. So let's talk about some solutions, ways that you can tell Google that you have multi-regional, multilingual sites and pages. The first thing is to use rel alternate hreflang. Now, hreflang tells Google that there's multiple versions of a page. So let's say, for example, there are 3 versions of a page here. There is the international version of a page. This is the one that you want people to go to if they don't have a region-specific or language-specific version of the page. Then there's the UK page here, and then the US page. So 3 versions of similar pages, but they have different content for region-specific users. They might tell about region-specific services and how to pay in different currencies. So what type of code do you put on each page in order to indicate to Google that there are 3 variations of the same page? And this is pretty easy. It's basically the same code in the head section of each page. So let's kind of dive deeper into each page's code. So first off, there's nationalworldwide.com. This is the international global version of your page. That means if there's a user for this specific example from Taiwan looking for your content, since they don't have a region-specific or language-specific page, then they would be shown this nationalworldwide.com default version of the page. On this page, we also recommend that you have some type of language picker or language selector. And there's a variety of reasons that you need it. And one of them is just if there is a better version of the page for a user, that way they can select it. And also if you have some automatic redirects set up and you're automatically redirecting users from, let's say, one page to what you perceive as their language-specific or language or regional page, and they're incorrectly redirected, they can go to the default page and pick the correct language and or region. So on the next page, we have the US version of or the UK version of a page, and this is the same exact code. Again, it goes in the head and basically links to the other versions of the same page. And finally, the US version, and you guessed it, it's the same code again. So this is really simple to set up. All you have to do is make sure that you link back to every version of the page that you have in search results, or that every version of the page that you have that has different languages or regions. So again, this is just to kind of illustrate, it helps Google understand and cluster the different versions of your page. That way, when Google's crawling and indexing your site, they understand, okay, there are 3 variations of this page, and when we're serving results to users, it'll help Google serve the correct version of a page to the user. The other thing that you can do is geotargeting. Geotargeting helps Google understand that a website is associated with a specific region. So you can do this in Webmaster Tools under Site Settings. So in this example, the Site Settings is telling Google that this page is for users in the United States of America. And so basically this just helps Google, gives another signal, so when serving a page in search results, it'll appropriately serve the result for users in a specific region. And this is for a site and not specifically a page. So when you're doing geographic targeting, just be very careful and don't apply it just to a page, but make sure that you're applying it to like a whole site or like a subdirectory or directory of a site. So implementing hreflang, it's pretty easy, but there are a couple common mistakes that we see, and we just wanted to point them out so you don't avoid them on your own site. So this example, it's really interesting. It's not very obvious where the problem is. When looking at this, technically, this is implemented correctly. But if you look at the language and the region code, you realize that this is targeting Spanish users in Laos. And last time I checked on Wikipedia, there aren't very many Spanish speakers in Laos. So the person that created this web page is actually trying to target people that speak Spanish in Latin America, hence the LA. Unfortunately, LA is the regional code for Laos. If you wanted to target people in Latin America, you would have to pick the specific region. So let's say Spanish in Peru, so ES-PE. This helps Google understand that, oh, this is the regional page for Peru and for users that speak Spanish. The next example, a common mistake that we see is missing backlinks to global pages. So in this example, you can see that the US page is missing a backlink to the global page. And this actually causes Googlebot to be confused when crawling and indexing and processing your site, because then we may not be able to cluster all these pages together correctly. So make sure when you're adding new pages or adding new regional or language pages to make sure that the hreflang on each page is updated so that Google can appropriately cluster all these pages together. All right, the third example, this one really bothers me because it's happened to me a couple times actually. So let's say you have a US user and they're using Google to search for content page apps. And they click in search results and they're 301 redirected based on location. And in this case, this 301 redirect is incorrect because it redirects the user to the UK version of a page. This may not even be the page's fault. Maybe the user is spoofing their location, or there's something wrong with the way that the page is processing the user's location, and that's fine. I, as a user, can go to a country picker page, like the default page, and pick the correct region or the country. But some pages, they have a blanket statement for all users when they visit any page to 301 redirect to what they perceive is the appropriate language or location page. So in this case, the user is going to nationalworldwide.com, the country picker page, but then it's 301 redirected back to the UK version of the page. Basically, the user can never get to the appropriate language or regional page that they're looking for. So this is really frustrating for any user because they can never get the content that they want to see. And this is actually bad for a person's site because the user will never be able to get to that content. This can also confuse Google because when Google is crawling and processing the page, it crawls from a specific region. So if it's crawling from, let's say, the US, and this page keeps redirecting users over Google to the US version of a page, Google won't fully understand the differences between the default page and the US version of a page. So just be very careful of this. All right, today we're going to actually demo a new tool for anybody who has international, multilingual, multi-regional sites. This isn't out yet in Webmaster Tools, but we're very, very excited for it. So soon in Webmaster Tools, you'll see a international targeting tool. And this will tell you if you have any errors with hreflang. So it does two things. First, it tells you if there's any wrong region or language codes. So you can see in this live example that EN-Canada is an incorrect region code. It should be EN-CA. So you can see exactly where these errors occur, and then you can fix them on your site. The next thing that this tool will do is tell you if there's any problems with missing return links. So you can see here that there's a couple missing return links for English or the EN-CA version of a page. And again, you can click through, find the problem, and fix it. So we're really hoping that if you have a multi-regional, multilingual site, this will really help you because we do see these errors a lot on many sites. If you have any comments when it's released, please feel free to let us know in the forums. We'll be looking for your feedback in the forums very soon. All right, I'm going to pass it off to Michael to talk about spam. I don't think anybody likes spam, so this is going to be an interesting topic.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And if anyone has questions, we are collecting them in the Q&A feature, so feel free to add your questions there, and after my part, we will start answering them. And you can also join the Hangout if you'd like. There's a comment on this event that gives you a link to do that. So anyway, like Eric said, I'm going to be talking about monitoring your site for spam because users don't want spam. You don't want spam on your site. You don't want your users seeing spam. And Google doesn't want to send its users to spam in our search results. So I'm going to talk about 3 features of Webmaster Tools that you can use to monitor your site and see if you have spam on your site. So I'll talk about security issues, I'll talk about the manual actions viewer, and I'll talk about the content keywords tool. All right, and now it's important to think about spam on your site too, because it can affect your site's reputation in search results. So let's hop into the demo here. Hopefully everything works. And I'm going to first show security issues. And for this one, I'm going to head over to onlinehaircuts.com. So hopefully, if you're checking security issues for your site, you're not seeing anything. It should hopefully tell you that everything's fine. But what if you did see something on your site? So in this example here, it says that there is content injection. So it thinks that the pages have been modified by a hacker, and you can see that there's a sample URL given here of styles.php. So okay. Google says it's hacked. Let's take a look. And it looks kind of okay. There's nothing really there. So let's go back to the security issues feature here. And this time I'm going to click on Show Details. And here you can say you can see that it's warning me that the spammy content might be hidden, right? It might be cloaking or hidden with CSS. So it actually links off to a tool called Fetch as Google, where you can actually be the actual Google bot and go ahead and fetch the page and see what Google got back. So I'm going to use this as kind of an excuse to demo that feature. So I'll click on Fetch as Google here for this page. And I'll request a fetch of styles.php. Boom. Okay, done. So I'll go ahead and click on it here, and we'll look at what we got back. Looks like some pretty normal content. But then at the bottom here, you'll see all of this text that looks a little suspicious, all of these strange links to payday loans and that kind of stuff that's not really related to this site's content. So that's security issues. So if you see something like that, definitely investigate it and see what's going on with your site. Okay, and so not every piece of spam on your site is going to be inserted by a hacker, but it might be something where they're perhaps a little more invited to put content on your site if you have user-generated content. So you might have seen this kind of thing where there's user profiles like this, where okay, it's actually not a person, that's obviously a robot there. Or maybe you've come across a forum that is turned into something like this, where I think it's kind of small on the screen, but it's just basically a bunch of spammy posts. And in these cases, the spammers are hoping to build links to their spam sites, leeching off of your site's good reputation to improve their rankings. So when Google sees this kind of stuff on a site, we can actually take action on it to prevent it from showing spam to users in our search results. So to show this, I'm going to show you the manual actions viewer, because if you have a site registered in Webmaster Tools and we do take manual action on it for spam, we will actually tell you about it. So let me show you what that looks like if this would happen on your site. So I'll switch back to national worldwide for this part here. And so for this site here, it's a, let's say it's a legitimate site, so there's no site-wide matches. But you can see that if I click on partial matches, Google has taken some granular and precise action on this site. So you can see that there are 2 sections here, /forum, and then this user profile that have been affected by the manual action. So that's something that you might see if you have user-generated content on your site, and that's a good time to go ahead and clean it up. And now let's head over to the third thing that I'm going to show is content keywords. So this all looks pretty normal. Let's check it out for the haircut site. Nothing's really sticking out there, but what if you saw some terms that were a little bit strange? And so we have this as kind of a mock here. So, all right, looking through this, haircut, okay, that makes sense. There's probably an FAQ. It's about grooming. It's about hair. But online pharmacy, diet pills, cheap watches, those don't seem very relevant to the site, and those are also, kind of commonly associated with spam. So this is a way if, even if we haven't explicitly flagged your site as having spam, this might be a first indication that something is up. Now, something like content keywords, you have to basically log in and check it to see what's going on. So what if you want to do some more passive monitoring? One thing that you can do is you can set up a Google alert. So this is at google.com/alerts, and what you can do is subscribe to a query. So for this example here, it's doing a site search for nationalworldwide.com. So that's restricting the search to only show results from this site. And then it's searching for some terms that are more commonly spammed, but also not related to the site. So it's searching for loans or casino. And so if that triggers and sends an email, that might be something where you can take a look and see what's going on with your site. So that was basically about the monitoring aspect of spam. You probably want to take some steps to prevent spam from occurring in the first place. So there's a little bit.ly link set up here where you can go to get more information about how to prevent user-generated spam from occurring on your site. And in the unfortunate case that you do get hacked, we do have a lot of resources set up at google.com/webmasters/hacked. So please check out those resources as well. And then in terms of following us, I guess you already found us on Google Plus or YouTube, so thanks for finding us there. We also have our main site at google.com/webmasters and our developers site at developers.google.com/webmasters. One other resource that I would really like to point out, if you have any questions after this, is if you head to google.com/webmasters, at the bottom of the page you should see a link to our help forum, and that's where we have a lot of really knowledgeable webmasters and Googlers in there as well who can help you out with your questions. So please definitely check that out if you want to learn more. So I believe that is it for our main presentation. So I think at this point we're going to take a look at the Q&A and see what's going on there, or if anyone who has joined us live wants to ask a question, you can go ahead and do that as well. And so for this site here, let's see, Mita, do you have a question? Legitimate site, so there's no site-wide matches, but you can see. No, okay. Whoever that was has left. Do you guys see? Here, Eric and Mary, I'll bring you guys back in. Anything good going on in the Q&A here?
So I think a couple people had questions about multilingual, multi-regional sites. So hopefully I covered that in my presentation. And I think someone asked about new tools and webmaster tools to help you out with that. So hopefully that new tool is what you're looking for.
Cool.
Someone has a question about what is the best video player / format to use for a responsive layout that plays on mobile and tablets.
Yeah, so we recommend using HTML5 tags, and they're really good at understanding YouTube and other types of videos.
Yeah, so HTML5 is probably what we go for. Seems to work on mobile pretty well.
Yeah, I don't know if any like really specific players, but I would just say, just make sure that it works on as many devices as you can. That's probably the best thing that you can do. That might be a good question for the forum to see if anyone has any experience with a mobile site or a video site, and they might have tried out different players to see what works best across multiple devices and is responsive as well. Thanks for the question.
Does anyone have any live questions?
No? All right, I don't see any other questions here that are totally on topic. We're hoping to keep this presentation just kind of to the topics that we are addressing, and then we're always happy in the forum to talk about other questions that you might have. So if no one has any additional questions, I'll just check the group chat real quick to see if anything is going on here. Okay, so Krish is asking, okay, so say you have multiple language versions, maybe the UK and the USA, both in English for an e-commerce site. Would you have to create original content for each product within the website, or just use canonicals for each page to prevent duplicate content? So it sounds like they have, they probably serve users in both, say, the UK and the US, and they might have separate URLs for those product pages because maybe it's showing prices in US dollars and British pounds. So Eric, is it right to say that in terms of associating them, they would just use the hreflang tags to kind of make sure that those are associated with each other?
Yeah, so if I'm understanding your question correctly, if you have products that you're targeting for different regions like the UK or USA, on all of those deep pages, you'd want to use that hreflang tag, because that way Google can serve the appropriate product page. If you're saying you're paying in dollars or you're paying in pounds, that way Google can serve the appropriate page for users and search results, because you don't want users to go to like a generic product page. That can be fairly confusing for users, and like, again, if I'm a US user and I see your product is being sold using pounds, I might not want to go into that search result because it might be a little bit confusing for me. So hreflang is for each page, so make sure that all your deep pages are also tagged with hreflang tags.
Cool. All right, thanks, Chris, for the question. Oh, I see that was probably actually added to the Q&A there. So say that we answered this one right here. So let's mark that one as done. And all right, so now the chat's lighting up. We're bumping back between the chat and the Q&A, and we go to one and people are in the other. Oh, Chris is asking a follow-up here.
So the descriptions, it really depends on your page. So if you're trying to target like US users, it should be unique for US users.
But I think they don't need a different product description for like
Right.
UK versus US. If you're changing up the language, you might want to do that. But you are already going to tell us that these are associated pages
Right.
when you're implementing the hreflang tags. So I think it would be okay if the only thing that was changing up was the price, especially if you're not trying to rank those two pages individually and you're actually telling us that they are associated with each other.
Right. And just a note about hreflang, it doesn't affect your ranking. It actually just swaps those search the pages, the group pages out for each other. So it's not like one page is going to rank differently because of the hreflang.
Cool.
There's another chat message.
Of course.
So,
oh, sorry, did you want me to go back to the Q&A?
Oh, there's one more follow-up.
Using the appropriate canonicals where necessary is also important. I wouldn't say no canonicals at all. I don't want to make that blanket statement, but in terms of different versions of a page, yeah, I would use the hreflang there. There was another question on the Q&A. So same content in different languages is okay for SEO. Yeah, absolutely. If you have multiple versions of a page in different languages, that's if it's good for your users, that's great. You should definitely do that. Again, if
and just mark them up. Yeah.
Right. Just have the appropriate markup in hreflang.
Yep.
Using hreflang. Okay, so we have a question. I need to show app download interstitials to our users, though you don't recommend to use them. Is it fine to block the JavaScript so they will not interrupt Googlebot to crawl the pages?
So I think when it comes to JavaScript and CSS and kind of blocking those resources, Google really wants to know what we're sending users to, and so it's always best if we can fully render the page. We want to know what search results we are sending to users, so we really recommend that you don't block JavaScript and CSS on your pages. So yeah, I wouldn't say that if we say users generally might not like those app interstitials, like just speaking as a user myself, I find them to be pretty annoying. And you've probably also, well, maybe some of you have seen there's an XKCD comic about it that you can look up. That's kind of funny. And so anyway, you don't want to try and hide that from Google by blocking a resource. So I would say, yeah, with anything kind of cloaking or blocking related, we want to see what users will see. So if you have an app interstitial and you think that's the right thing for your users, don't try to hide that from us. But yeah, thanks for the question.
We have more in the quality guidelines, so you can look into that too.
Yep, and we have our full mobile guidelines on developers.google.com/webmasters/smartphone-sites, or you can Google it, or whatever search engine you want to use.
There are some chat questions.
All right. We should have 2 monitors here.
Good. It's just
Okay, so I'm not seeing any direct questions about the topics that we're addressing today. Check back in the Q&A. Oh, no new questions there. So unless you guys had any final thoughts, or if any new questions come in, we might wrap this up. I'm trying to read and speak at the same time, and this is not working. Okay, it looks like there's a chat's going on. Okay, so thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. This recording will also be available on YouTube if you came in late. And please join us in the forum. Continue to ask us questions on Google+ and Twitter. And thanks a lot for joining us. And have a great week.
Bye.
Bye.